On this episode of the Who Is This podcast, brought to you by Double R Communications and Sierra Pacific Mortgage of the Gila Valley, we had the pleasure to talk with Chase Goodman, the co-owner of Rafter G Barbecue. Chase, we've been trying to get on for a while. He obviously was very busy when he first started getting his business going, and then we kind of had some things come up that slowed us down, and finally we were able to make it work just in time for the spring festival that is coming this weekend actually. And Chase has a pretty exciting announcement that he's going to be debuting at the spring festival, so make sure you look for that this weekend. But yeah, it was a great time. Got to know Chase and his story behind opening up Rafter G Barbecue, which if you haven't tried it yet, you definitely should. It's some really good barbecue here in the Gila Valley and another awesome locally owned restaurant. So go check it out. All right, Chase, welcome to the...
Dude, are you kidding me? I just broke this again. Oh, there we go. Sorry. All right, we're good.
Anyways, so welcome to the podcast, man.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about it. I don't know if I sent you that link, but basically all this is a conversation. We have a lot of different guests come on that, entrepreneurs, business owners, people that...
Community leaders.
Yeah, people that are known in the community that... Like, for example, a lot of the guests we've had, I've known them, but I didn't really know anything about them. And so we were like, that might be a cool thing to have people like that come in and talk about themselves, talk about their story, how they got to where they are, what they do, what their passions are, things like that. And
we had my brother on, and I learned more about my brother in that 45 minutes than I had in the last 35 years. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Man. I can't talk to my brother for 45 minutes.
Yeah. It was you just don't realize you don't really often sit down and talk to somebody for an hour. So it's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun.
And as soon as, once you started advertising your barbecue joint and all of that, we're like, that'd be a perfect person to come on. So I know we've been talking to you about it for a while now, and
yeah, we have since we started.
Yeah, you guys were super busy at first, and then we kind of had some stuff go down with our jobs and stuff. But I'm glad we were able to get together.
Yeah, for sure. Nice to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm super excited about this because I happen to be a really big barbecue snob. My wife is from Texas, so we go to Texas all the time.
Man. Yeah.
And barbecue is, if somebody asks me my favorite food, I say barbecue. That's my favorite food.
We love to hear that. There's not a lot of them around here.
Right.
Do you ever get sick of people telling you how Texas barbecue is the best barbecue? Are you like, no, my barbecue is the best barbecue?
Well,
or do you agree sometimes?
we try and mimic Texas barbecue because I'm a firm believer that Texas barbecue is the best barbecue myself. So, that's basically what we are, is Texas-style barbecue, real Texas-style barbecue. I know that every barbecue joint in Arizona says that and claims it, but but there is a difference in my opinion, and we try and keep it as close to that as we can.
So what does that mean? Like, what is Texas-style barbecue? Like, what is that?
So, Texas is, real big on salt and pepper, that's their only rubs, especially for their brisket. Salt and pepper, maybe a little garlic, and we try and stay as close to that for our rubs as we can for our briskets. A lot of people around here, a lot of people who don't know barbecue and have eaten Arizona barbecue or California barbecue or anything where barbecue's not real popular, a lot of it's just smoked, or a lot of places is cooked in the oven, to be honest.
Right.
But if it is smoked, it's smoked till it's probe tender and then shredded up and put in a sandwich or something like that, and that's not real barbecue or real brisket in my opinion. Sliced brisket, there's two different types of brisket. You have lean brisket and you have moist or fatty brisket, and that's all stuff that I believe has originated in Texas. Hopefully nobody comes on here.
Nah, I don't think there's anyone in Texas even listening to this.
Yeah. I got lots of family that listen.
Yeah.
Your family doesn't listen to this.
I know.
You specifically told me your mom doesn't even know we have a podcast. Right on. So is barbecue just something that you kind of grew up eating and like, or what kind of, tell us the backstory as far as how Rafter G came about.
So me and my buddy, my business partner, he's like my brother, Austin Peeler, we're both 50-50 partners on the Rafter G Barbecue and everything that has to do with it. But where it all started was, I want to say, well, it was back in 2017, 2018, something like that. It all started with a pellet smoker, you know, like everybody else. But we got a pellet grill for Christmas or something like that, and just started messing around with it, you know, started messing around with barbecue and everything. And an uncle of mine, my Uncle Mike, he lives in Springerville, and he's really been into barbecue for a lot of years.
My cousin Mike too,
yeah,
by the
exactly,
way.
Yeah.
And he's good, yeah.
Yeah. But even then, it never interested me much, you know. It was more having a pellet grill to cook for the family and stuff like that and try out new stuff, you know. But he invited us up a couple years to get in that rib throwdown, that barbecue competition up there. And so finally we decided we were going to do it one year, you know, and we started really getting more into it, you know, and we bought a couple offset smokers and everything, and actually started smoking on wood and started practicing for this rib throwdown and really got into it, you know. And we went up there for that competition the first year, and we won first place in a couple of events.
Nice.
Took second in another, and took like fifth in People's Choice for ribs, or maybe it was third, something like that. It was unreal for
and
the first
that's
time.
a big
Right, yeah.
event too.
It is,
like there's
you
a
know,
lot of people that go to that.
Yeah, there was 35 teams probably, maybe more, you know.
And all teams that have probably been doing it for a while, or most of them at least.
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely the rinky-dink, you know, Beverly Hillbillies of the barbecue world there. We were, our first setup wasn't nothing nice, you know, but I mean, that's how we placed. And so it was like, man, and we really liked the atmosphere. We liked doing it. We enjoyed what we were doing, and it was just a great time. So we're like, man, we're going to get into this competition barbecue, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we started spending money on it, you know, and going to a few more competitions here and there, you know, placing middle of the road, you know, with every competition we went to after that, and just started dumping money. And it's like, we did that for a couple years and kept going to the Springerville deal too for a couple years. And we were working at the mine at the time, you know. I've worked there since I got out of high school, same as Peeler. And but we're just dumping money into this deal, and it's like, man, there is absolutely no money in competition barbecue. You know what I mean? Even if you win, it costs you so much to win that there's no money in it. So we started with those same smokers that we had bought, you know. Actually, the one we started with is sitting in front of the restaurant down there right now, you know, as a decoration.
Yeah.
So that's the original OG when we really got into the competition barbecue. And so we started using it and another offset that Peeler has, and we started selling barbecue out of our backyard here in town on the weekends and just running ads on Facebook, you know. And I don't even think it was legal by the health department code or anything like that, but we were doing it, you know.
And people didn't care. It tasted good, yeah.
You know, and we got some good clientele in town, you know, selling our ribs and brisket and everything. And it started to get to where we'd throw an ad out there, hey, we're going to be smoking ribs this weekend, Rafter G Barbecue, smoking ribs. Mm-hmm. Place your order now, you know, and we'd be booked out by the end of the day.
Wow.
All of that our smokers would hold.
And you were just doing that from your house?
Doing that right out the backyard, yeah. You know. And so we did that for a while, and ultimately I think what made us make the move on this restaurant, there's a few things, you know, some divine inspiration, but we went to a conference out in Vegas, still had no intentions on opening a restaurant or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we went to a convention out in Vegas that I'd bought us tickets for, and it was called Life Surge. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's kind of a Christian-based entrepreneur conference, you know, that's got a lot of spiritual aspects to it. I mean, you know, it's all faith-based and everything. You know, it's a great conference. The biggest reason I wanted to go, if I'm being honest, was Duck Dynasty is going to be there, Willie Robertson and them guys, and they're going to be talking, and I've been a huge fan of them guys since they came out, you know.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest reason I wanted to go. But we went down there, and what we learned there was, I mean, it was really inspirational, you know. It was. So we hit that conference in Vegas, came back, and on our way back from Vegas, I remember Pillar telling me, you know, I've never wanted to tell anybody this, but my dream's always been to own a food truck. And I'm like, man, get out of here, dude. We work in the mine, you know. Own a food truck? What are you talking about, you know? And we left it at that, but, you know, went back to work, working for the man and everything. And my dad's been a business owner for quite a few years now, owns several businesses in Cochise County, you know, and And after talking to him, I'm just like, man, I want to do something for myself, you know. I want to work for myself, and I don't even care if I go broke doing it. I want to do it, you know, at least once in my life. You know, life is short, and started getting some pointers from him on what to do and everything. And I started thinking, you know, we've built a clientele with this barbecue deal here in the valley, and it's obviously people like what we do, you know. They like our barbecue and everything. And talking to Peeler, I was telling him one night, I'm like, man, I'm going to make a move towards this. I don't know where, I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know where this restaurant's going to be, but I'm going to open a barbecue restaurant, you know. I'm going to sink my life savings into it if I have to. And that's what I'm going to do. And I said, do you want on board? And he said, absolutely. I said, all right, let's do it, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so we started praying on it real heavy and everything, you know, asking God for a sign, you know, to give us the right place to start this and everything, and looked all over town, you know, and just, I mean, when I told Peeler that, I told him, by July, I'll be out of this mine. I'm not going to be working in this mine anymore. And this was in January, you know, of last year.
Yeah.
I told him this January of last year, and I told him by July, I don't know how, but I'm going to be out of that mine. I ain't going to be working out there anymore. I'm going to be working for myself. And I just threw that out there, you know. And so we started looking for a place and everything. Of course, there's no, I mean, good highway frontage property here in town for sale, or if there is, it's crazy priced, you know, and it's just vacant lot, you know, that you'd have to build something new. And I mean, that's hard to do for a startup, you know. And so we start looking over at the shopping center where Jack in the Box is.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of empty buildings over there, you know. And so I got in contact with the rental agency that all works through, and talked to them, and was interested in looking at one of their spaces, you know, for possibly setting some up in there. And when I got in contact with the lady, you know, I told her, you know, I'm curious at looking at a few of your storefronts here, you know, that you have for lease. And she said, well, they're not mine. I'm just the rental agent on it, but I can show them to you, but can I ask what you plan on doing? And so I told her, you know, I'm going to start a barbecue restaurant, you know.
Yeah.
I'm going to start a brick and mortar. And she's like, have you ever started a restaurant before? I said, no, I haven't. And she said, well, and she was really negative about it, you know, and just went off on it. And, you know, finally to the point where I just was like, you know what? You know, my dad's a business owner in Cochise County. He owns multiple brick and mortar buildings down there. I got the right backing on this deal, the right knowledge and experience and everything. But, you know, my dad also opened that restaurant from the ground up in Bowie, you know, and so there was experience there. I had the right guy to help me out with
You got
this.
a good mentor.
Yeah, and I just told this lady all this, and I wound up hanging up on her, you know. It's like, I was done with that. That obviously was the wrong place, you know. That's how I felt.
That's so funny, because as her job is, can you make the payment? Yeah. Why do you care what I'm doing then? You know, like,
exactly.
But yeah, that's frustrating.
You know, I agree, but also I think we just had a conversation recently with another guy that was talking about starting a business, and he kind of opened my eyes. I won't go into what he was starting, but basically they also have to look at, you got to build this place out, and then if it fails, then they have this place built out that they can't use anymore. So it's like, I get it, but also, you know, who are you to crush my dreams?
Yeah.
You know?
And that's where I was.
Right.
You know, I'm like, okay, this lady, she's just really negative, and
Right.
she don't want to rent this and that. And I started telling myself, well, the rents are too expensive anyways, you know.
So I called that
moving
same
on.
lady when we were looking at our office,
Yeah.
and when she told me the monthly rent, I was like, geez.
No wonder there's so many empty buildings.
Yeah, no wonder they're still empty.
Yeah, and it was something like $8,000 a month.
It was,
it's
it's
crazy, you know.
Yeah.
And so I moved on from that, and my dad's the one who brought the Triangle liquor store up, you know. He told me, he said, man, you ought to go look at that. There's been a for sale sign in it for...
Been vacant for years. Yeah.
And so I was like, no, Dad. I was really negative about it, you know. I was like,
Did he
man,
hang up on you?
that is not the spot, you know. And I told him, I drive by that place every day, man. And my dad told me, well, he said, the location is key. He said, that's the best location in the whole valley. He said, that's the busiest intersection in the valley. And I said, well, you're right, you know, but it's small. It'd have to be drive-through only. And you know, I don't know, you know, I was Mechie's has kind of got a drive-through that can be a problem on the other side. This is going to be another drive-through that's a problem. Then you got Dairy Queen, and I was just negative about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, think about it, you know. And so time went on. We're still looking for a place. And I remember one morning I woke up like a Saturday morning. I was on my back porch drinking a cup of coffee, you know, talking to my dad on the phone. And I got off with him, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to take my Harley and ride down to the Triangle Liquor, and I'm going to check it out and just give it a fair shake before I throw it out, you know. And so that's what I did. I went down there, and I kind of cruised the drive-through a few times and on my bike, you know, and I'm thinking, all right, this ain't too bad, you know. If traffic can line up here, as long as the property boundary goes out to here and we can do this and do that, we can make this work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a drive-through is the way to go. Maybe, you know, you got less overhead. You don't have to worry about all the dishes and stuff, you know. You're just to-go containers. And I'm trying to make it work in my head, you know, and I walk up and I start looking through all the windows. And as I'm looking through the windows for whatever reason, you know, and like I said, me and Peeler have been praying on this real hard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I look in one of the windows, and there's a big picture of Jesus on the bar right there just staring me in the face, you know. And I was like, man, maybe this is the sign I needed, you know. Maybe this is the slap in the face, because I can't pick up on the other signs, you know. And so ultimately that is 100% what sealed the deal on it for us, you know. I called Peeler right there, and I told him, hey, come down here. Let's look at this. Let's talk about it. And he come down. We talked about it, you know, and went over everything. And yeah, I was like, let's make a move on it, you know. Let's talk to Gary. Gary was the owner of it, you know.
Yeah. Was that like when was that? That was last year, right? Like when you first went and looked at it?
Yeah, and I bet this was probably March.
Okay.
You know, January till March we've been looking,
Kind
you
of,
know.
okay.
And I bet this was March, you know. And so we wound up making an offer to Gary, and we kind of went back and forth with Gary a few times on it. And ultimately he came back and accepted our offer, you know. And he was like, okay, things are getting real now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by the time we got done with everything with Pioneer and closing costs and rebuilt the place, I mean, I was so confident in it that I started remodeling the whole place while
Before you even
before
owned it.
we were closed on it or anything,
Yeah.
you know. And that was probably crazy, you know. A lot of people wouldn't do that, but I was just that confident, you know. And I'm that kind of guy that once I have an idea, I got to go for it, you know. I thrive on enthusiasm, and that's probably a bad way to be as much as it is a good way, you know. But anyways, I mean, it all worked out, you know. And I put in my notice up there in the mine, you know. I put in a 2-month notice, and it would have put me leaving July 15th or something like that, you know. And so I put in my notice, and I wound up getting pushed out a little earlier, you know, like the end of June. But, I mean, I was out of there before July, you know, just like I had told Peeler, and it just happened to work that way.
That's awesome.
And it's not like I ever went broke and had to give up my house or anything, you know. We were able to invest all our money into this deal and get it started up, get it fired up, and dealt with a lot of hiccups and speed bumps from ADOT and the county and stuff, you know, with their concerns about it all. And in my honest opinion, there's people out there who don't even want it to be open, don't want that location to even exist right now. And I get it for some reasons, you know what I mean? But it's property that's owned by somebody. It's commercial property, you know. And why shouldn't they be able to make money there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's not a drive-through barbecue shop, it's a drive-through coffee place or something like that, or a drive-through liquor store.
Drive-through donuts, maybe.
Yeah, you know. So it's going to be something, you know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we had to jump through hoops to please everybody, but we finally got it done, man, and we were able to open up shop. I think our first day open was August 16th, and we had traffic backed up all the way to the Pepsi plant.
Oh, yeah, I remember that day. Like, it was crazy.
It was, man.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. I remember opening day, I told Peeler, you know, it's like 8 in the morning, we're down there prepping and everything. We had no idea what we were doing. We never even worked in a restaurant, you know, but all we've done is our barbecue out of our backyard, and we're trying to prep everything, and Peeler's asking me a few questions. I told him, man, I don't know. I said, but I do know one thing. People are coming, so we better figure it out, you know. And sure enough, we walked to the back door at 10 o'clock, and we didn't even open till 10:30, and they're backed all the way up to the Pepsi plant.
No way.
Wow.
I couldn't
so
believe
cool.
it, man.
Yeah.
Well, what a good feeling that had to have been.
Man.
And probably made you pretty freaking nervous.
There was a lot of emotions going on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, sweating, shaking, excited. And I mean, we sold out in 3 hours, you know.
That's
and
awesome.
we put a lot of meat on the smoker, you know, because we didn't want to run out. We wanted to.
Well, and honestly, I feel like that's one of the biggest signs of like a really good barbecue joint is because most barbecue places, you know, we're open until we're out of food, and so when you're running out, it means people are buying it.
Yeah,
so that's good.
People are there, yeah, for sure. So no, it's been good. I mean, it's been good ever since. You know, we've had our slow times down there too, just like any other food business. But I think the winter time is, you know, I think the holiday season is slow for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, talking to other business owners, we've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of the local business owners.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of good people, and they share their insights and their experience with us, and
Yeah.
that's what it seems to be like for them too. You know, so starting to ramp back up coming into the spring and stuff, and I think the summer's just going to be even busier. It's been good to us though. We're moving on to another venture now. We bought a food trailer. And
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah, you had it during Christmas time. You had it out there in Pima, didn't you? Weren't you guys out there at the Star Barn?
We were out there. We were under a canopy though.
Oh,
We
you
didn't
got
have
a
food
canopy at
trailer.
that time. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we just bought this food trailer the other day, and we're remodeling it, rebuilding it. We're bringing something else to the Gila Valley. It's not barbecue.
Oh, okay.
But it is a secret what it
Okay.
is, you know. But
Cool.
yeah, our debut for it, I guess, will be at the Spring Festival this week.
Okay.
Nice.
Or
Next
this
weekend.
next weekend.
Yeah.
So
That's exciting.
yeah, it's exciting, man. Get to do something else. So I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it's been good enough where we can keep doing other stuff.
So I'm curious. So Rafter G, I know there's like businesses in Wilcox that are have the same name. Is that any sort of affiliation or?
Yeah. So my dad is Rafter G Jerky.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
yeah.
he owned. Sorry, he recently sold his store in Bowie. He had the truck stop and the Rafter G Jerky store and everything off the interstate, and he had the Rafter G restaurant down there in Bowie. He sold those, and he's just got the 2 storefront locations in Tombstone now. But he is Rafter G Jerky.
Okay. Yeah.
And we sell his jerky out of the restaurant here too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's him. The Rafter G Barbecue, we named ourselves Rafter G Barbecue before Rafter G Jerky was even really a big thing. It's always been the family brand, you know.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so-
yeah.
And when we came here, we thought, you know, we'll change the name to this and that. But we already had clientele established with Rafter G Barbecue. And,
Yeah.
and just like you just said, you knew the Rafter G name right there.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
So it's obvious.
It's already a brand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. as well.
People have to
Totally.
know who you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was smart. So you said that's a family brand. Is that just something that your dad created way back when?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, that's something we've always used on our ranches back when we were ranchers and we didn't have no money.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I made Davis is going to tell you a funny story because I made a comment about how you could have a donut shop out of that triangle liquor. Seriously, like
Yeah.
right before you bought that, Davis was thinking, was like, dude, we should buy this and do drive-through donuts. Never mind.
We're gonna talk about it because it didn't happen, and I don't think it's gonna happen. But yeah, I talked to Gary too, and I don't know. I think it was more of a pipe dream. I don't know if I was serious about it, but I like you guys. I had never been in like the restaurant industry or anything
Yeah.
like that, so it would have been a huge risk for me to take. But I did talk to Gary about it, and I went and looked at the place a few times, and yeah, I just kind of let the idea fizzle, and
Yeah.
then you guys came in and took it, and for like a day I was like, oh man, but I'm so
Yeah.
glad because now we have a barbecue place in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
And there's
sure.
a donut place in town, so I'm happy.
Well, it is. I mean, it's a good location, man. It'd
Yeah.
be great for a drive-through donut shop too. And I mean, eventually, ultimately, our goal is, I mean, our pipe dream is to open a sit-down restaurant, you know,
Right? Yeah.
with a bar scene and all that, you know. And I mean, an actual barbecue restaurant.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
That's the big dream. So, who knows what the restaurant location will be then? You know, might be what we're fixing to do with this food trailer, or maybe we'll sell it to you and you can open your donut shop.
All right, maybe.
That'd be good.
Did-
Anything
Food
would
donut
work
shop.
there, I think. You
I
know?
think so
I
too.
really
Yeah.
do.
If you have a good product, it'll take off. It's a great spot. Did you take any inspiration from any certain barbecue restaurant, or are everything that you've done has been your own idea? Like, for example, my favorite barbecue restaurant in Texas is called Hard Eight, and they do things a little differently. So I'm wondering if like there's ideas that you've taken from restaurants that aren't necessarily common in
right.
barbecue.
So, I mean, not really. I mean, all of our stuff is kind of tried and true, you know. It's trial and error stuff that we've done until we figured it out. I have a few idols, I guess you'd say, in Texas, you know, Franklin's Barbecue or Snow's Barbecue. Mm-hmm. I've watched a lot of videos on them guys and learned a lot from them just talking, you know, about wood to burn and how to burn and everything that they do, you know. I watched a lot of Myron Mixon. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's the world's winningest man in competition barbecue. I mean, this guy's won millions of dollars in just competition barbecue, you know. So I watched a lot of his videos and stuff. I mean, my favorite show used to be Pitmasters. I'd watch it religiously every day, you know. And so you take stuff from them guys and you learn, you know, or you try it and you use it and use it where. So there's been a lot of that, but direct inspiration from any of them, not really. I mean, we've always tried to be our own, you know, and have our own little touch on it, and hopefully one day we inspire somebody.
Yeah. Do you have like a signature way that you do it, or, you know, something that you consider your own that, you know, what is your thing? Do you have that?
So our rubs, all of our rubs that we use are our own. We make our own rubs from. You're
selling those now too, right? Like
we do, yeah. We sell them out the restaurant. We sell them in Thrifties. We sell them in the Daily Stop out here. We sell them in the Alpine grocery store up in Alpine. We sell them in what's that big sporting goods store in Springerville called? Western Drug.
Oh, yeah.
We sell them in Western Drug. All of them have our barbecue sauce, too.
Shout out to local businesses, right? It's much harder to get that in
it is,
chain business, you know?
Yeah, when I had CMI making our labels for our rubs, you know, I give them kudos because they dealt with a lot with me, but I've nitpicked their labels to no end. You know, when Peeler was okay with them, I was like, no, these are going to be in Walmart one day, you know, because that's my pipe dream. It will be, you know, but yeah, it's hard to get into that. I've learned it's hard to get in Walmart. I've tried, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not that it can't be done, you know. And my inspiration for getting in Walmart was the Duck Dynasty guys. You know, that was their big break, as they got their duck calls in Walmart.
Yeah.
You know, but that was way back in the day when every Walmart had a buyer, you know, and they could go to individual Walmarts like we tried to do. That don't work. But it's a dream, you know. But the local businesses have been awesome enough to carry them for us. Thrifties sells out of our product all the time, you know. Really? We have to take, as a matter of fact, we got to fill an order there tomorrow, so yeah, it's been real good. But yeah, it's our rubs and our barbecue sauce, that's all our own recipe that we've made up ourselves in our backyard, you know. So
that's awesome. I was going to ask you, when you're kind of telling your story, you're married, right?
No.
Oh, you're not married.
No,
Okay,
no.
I thought you were. No,
Peeler's married.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, yeah. So that's probably a better question for him. I was going to ask, how do you know how was his wife pretty supportive throughout the whole time, or was she scared? You know, do you know anything like that?
She's been very supportive, man, and she helped us from day one. I mean, when we opened the doors, we had our workers that we had hired to run the cash register and stuff, but it was so crazy that, you know, we had some younger girls in there, and it just freaked them out, you know, because of course me and Peeler are pushing everybody to be faster, get it out the window. You know, we want to be the fastest game in town, and this was opening day or opening week, and luckily Peeler's wife was there, and my girlfriend was there, and they both jumped in and helped us out, and Peeler's wife helped us for the first 3 or 4 months, you know, nonstop on the POS every single day, and
that's cool.
She was real supportive of it. I'm sure there was a lot of worries and fears that I didn't hear about, you know, their closed door conversations about the money we were spending to get that. If you went and walked through it, you seen all the work it still needed, you know. It was pretty rough, and we sunk a lot of money into it, you know, without ever having to borrow any money. So that was a big deal too, you know.
You said August was when you opened?
August
was your first
16th.
Opening day. When did you close on how many months did you, from when you closed on the building until you opened, how much time passed?
I think a week.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. Oh, and that's so kudos to you for doing all that work while you were trying to close.
Exactly.
You had a vision. You're like, we need to start getting food out the door, so we need to start doing work before we own it. So
yeah, it was a big risk, and I had a lot of people telling me it was crazy, for lack of better term, stupid, to do what we were doing. But I mean, we were just that confident, and we felt like God was really in it with us, and so that's where we were at, man. And it worked. It all worked out,
Yeah, that's awesome. And I like watching, because you guys will do your specials or come out with a new product every now and then. I remember when you first came out with your brisket burritos.
Yeah.
I was probably just a couple of days after you first did it, but I was planning on golfing with a buddy, and we start super early. We started like 6 a.m. I was like, I'll run by like 5:15, grab us a couple burritos, and bring them out to the golf course. So I went out. I was like, I'm sure it's early enough, because I mean, you guys open at what time? Like
4:30.
Yeah. So I got there at 5:15, and they're like, we're all out. I was like, what?
The first 10 times I tried to get a burrito, they were sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took us a while to nail that down, man, and we felt horrible, but it was like opening day all over again. The first morning we announced breakfast burritos, and it's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
They were, that early in the morning, lined all the way back up the highway again. I'm like, man, we need more tortillas.
Yeah.
That's what it was. We ran out of tortillas.
And it's got to be just a bunch of mine workers, right? That are
it is. It's all the mine workers, man. And we're the only, I mean, they can go to Circle K and get something off the roller, but other than that, we're the only game in town selling bread. And we're not a burrito place. I don't understand why nobody's doing it, but I shouldn't even say that on here, But I'm glad they're not, and it's something that, I mean, we used to work in the mine. We knew how bad we wanted breakfast driving through town, going up there in the mornings, so it was a no-brainer for us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we got to wake up early to go down there, but it is what it is,
Yeah. So I was going to ask you that. So what's your day-to-day like, as far as, because, I mean, I'm not a expert barbecue person whatsoever, but
you can't cook in an hour.
Yeah, like I had a Green Mountain grill, which was recommended by Mike when I was buying one. I was like, which one should I get?
Great.
He's like, get you a Green Mountain grill. I was like, all right. So, and all I ever cooked on it was brisket. Like I did wings every now and then, but anyway, so I learned that to have a good brisket, I mean, if it's a big one, it takes 12 to 16 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your day to day as far as cooking it all.
So our briskets take 16 to 18 hours, and then they're rested anywhere from 5 hours to all the way to 24 hours. Just depending on what it's doing, and how it's probing and everything. Every brisket's different. That's a true statement. I always said that was false. Back before I actually knew, but it is true. We have a J&R smoker from. That we went out to Dallas, Texas to get. It's called a J&R Oiler 700. And that smoker allows us to basically at 7 o'clock at night chock it full of green wood, of green pecan wood is what we use, pecan and oak. We use a blend. And to chock the firebox full, and it'll burn all night, and it's insulated enough where it'll hold temp at 200 degrees all night until we get there at 4 in the morning. We usually get there 3:45. Between 3:45 and 4:15 is when we get down there. And so it'll hold temp all night and smoke all night. So then right there, I mean, we're still only 14 hours into a cook. So then when we get there, we'll wrap everything, throw it back on the smoker, and take it up to probe tender or temp, whatever we do. And after that, we pull them off and rest them. Our ribs, our turkey, our sausage, all that gets smoked the day of. So all the ribs being sold out the restaurant right now, they were smoked this morning.
Okay.
They don't take near as long as the brisket and the pork shoulders. Those are the only overnight cooks we do. But like I said, they cook overnight on their own, with us filling up that firebox. That smoker, I mean, but a lot of barbecue places, they cook on offsets and they have to feed their firebox, every 30, 45 minutes, every hour. They pay somebody to stay there all night, with that smoker. But But our smoker, I mean, it cost us $40,000 just for this smoker, but that's the beauty of it, or the romance of it, you know, is you get some sleep. And that's their selling point on it too, is this is the non-sleepy barbecue guy has this pit, you know?
That's a good sales point.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess mine and Peeler's day looks like, I mean, we get down there at 4:00, we pull briskets and pork shoulders, wrap them, put them back on the smoker, one of us is doing that, the other one's making breakfast, you know, and between that we do the whole breakfast thing, you know, and do all the smoking. Me and Peeler take care of all the meat on the smoker every day. And by the time, well, we actually open the restaurant, me and Peeler open it at 10:30. Well, we open at 4:30, and we run breakfast all the way till 10:30 now, but when we open for our lunch menu, me and Peeler run that till noon, and then our crew comes in, they relieve us, everything's done and ready to go, and they're basically just cutting, boxing, and serving, taking orders
until you're out. Yeah.
So then we go on and figure out how to make ourselves more busy by getting a food trailer.
Start working on your next thing. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, starting out, it wasn't like that, you know. It's 16, 18 hours a day every day for me and Peeler and his wife, you know.
Yeah.
It was just us every single day.
Which is how, I mean, you got to be willing to make those sacrifices when you get something going. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Like, I'm thinking, it's one thing getting into smoking as a hobby, right? But now you've got to worry about, where am I going to order my meat from? How much meat do I have to order? I mean, that had been a lot of growing pains through all that.
It is, man. Yeah, figuring out how much to put on every single day, it was a chore, man. But you got to get past the new and get into the, okay, now what you're doing is it seems like the new is up here, you know, and once the new wears off, you're down here. And then when you become established, you're in the middle, you know. And I think we're still becoming established. So we're still figuring out, but we got it a lot more narrowed down on how much to put in and everything, you know.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, you know. It's like my dad told me, if you work half as hard for yourself as you do somebody else, like you were in the mine, you can't help but be successful. And naturally, you'll work 10 times harder for yourself than you will somebody else, you know.
Yep.
You got to.
You're more invested in it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, yeah.
It's a common theme whenever we're talking to people that are entrepreneurs or business owners and I think you have to have the quality that what you mentioned earlier is, you didn't know what you're doing, but you were going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think that those type of individuals are the ones that they end up being successful, because anybody can talk about it, or, you know, but the ones that say, you know what, this is my goal, this is really what I want to do, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to take that first step and we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
That's I'd say everybody that we've talked to that has been a successful business owner, it's the same story. They don't know what they're doing, but they'll figure it out.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Man. And it's scary, but
yeah.
But I mean, you just got to think too. You know, I can't be the only one who can't do it. You know, if anybody, I mean, and I will tell you straight up, if I can do it, anybody can do it. You know what I mean? It's just the risk. I think that's what it is for a lot of people. You know, is afraid to take that risk. And
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. I think a lot of people have the ability to do it, but not everybody has the ability to risk it. They don't have that the bravery, I guess, or the courage to take the risk.
Comfort's a big deal, you know, and you can get real comfortable working up there in the mine.
It's a great job.
You know,
yeah,
it is a great job. I mean, it treated me really good for a long time. You know, it was great, but I was comfortable, and ultimately, I mean, I was working towards making somebody else rich. You know, whether that was rich with money or rich with time with their family or anything, you know. I know when I put in my notice with my boss up there, I was the superintendent up there, so I held a pretty high position, you know, with this contractor I was working for. And when I put my my notice in, I told him, you know, I want to be able to pick my kids up from school. I can't do that. I've never been able to do that since I've had kids, you know, because I'm always out here till 4 o'clock, you know, and then I don't get home till 5. I want to be able to drop them off and pick them up from school sometimes. I want to be able to give more of myself to the church, you know, and I want to be able to do all these things, you know, that I can't do because I'm stuck in this place from 5:30 in the morning till 4, you know. And I remember my boss at the time told me, you know, you're going to find that you're actually going to be busier working for your business, then you will be working for me. And I told him, that it's like you just said right there, you can either be a business owner and work for your business, or you can have your business work for you, And ultimately, I think that's the goal for every business owner, is to make your business work for you. And free you up a little,
Yeah, and you know what you're getting yourself into when you have an idea of what you're getting yourself into whenever you make that change. Like, yeah, I understand. I'm going to be really busy. I'm going to be working a lot, but I also I can also work when I want to work, and I can go pick up my kid from school when I want to go, because I'm not answering to anybody but me. And I think that's another key is for business owners is you have to have that discipline to keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
You don't have a boss, down your neck or saying you've got to be here by this time. It's on you to be there at 4 in the morning or 3:45 every morning. So you've got to have that quality as well.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. You've been doing this now since August, so several months. How much barbecue are you eating, and are you sick of barbecue?
Oh, man, I was sick of barbecue before we opened the doors on that place. I mean, leading up to it, we were practicing our families were tired of barbecue. We were, but I still eat barbecue, a couple times a week. Me and Pillar recently, 2 months ago, we went on the carnivore diet, and it was a big social media thing. It was a promotion thing. We were going to promote the carnivore diet, because I don't think there's
a great idea. Yeah.
I don't think there's a drive-through restaurant in the valley that you can do the carnivore diet.
Just order meat. Yeah.
It's actually healthy,
Great idea. Yeah.
So we did. So we made a video, and we weighed in front of everybody, and we told everybody for 30 days, we're only eating meat out of this restaurant, or jerky out of this restaurant. Rafter G Barbecue meat. And the carnivore diet, that's it. That's meat. No vegetables, no barbecue sauce, nothing, just meat. And we did it, man. We did it for 30 days. We had to, because we put it out there, and we lost a lot of weight doing it. And it was good, man. But you talk about burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the owner of Taco Bell don't eat Taco Bell, you know what I mean? It's just you get burnt out.
Right.
That's the way it is. But yeah, you can definitely lose weight on our fast food or
I did the carnivore diet the first part of last year, and it sucked, man.
You think it's great until
after like the first 3 days, you're like, I want a piece of bread, or just anything else other than meat.
Dorito or something.
Yeah, I lost a lot of weight though, and I honestly felt good while I was on it too.
Yeah, you do.
You just get sick of eating it, but we're gonna start doing it again, but I can't even say me and my wife.
Oh yeah,
we've thought about it, and but now we're not gonna do. I can't even say it's the carnivore diet. It's more we're cutting out other stuff, but we're gonna do like meat and some green vegetables, maybe but see how that goes. But
well, we offer a carnivore special at the restaurant, and it's half a pound of any meat of your choice. It don't come with nothing but the meat, but a half a pound, that's a lot of meat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right at $10. So that's a really good deal if you get brisket.
That is.
You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So something to think about. But we do get a lot of the gym sharks and stuff, coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that'll get more and more popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a question too, just because I think it's valuable for a lot of people that are in your shoes, or the shoes that you were in a year ago when you were doing this. Did you get like a business loan to buy the Triangle Liquor, or you also, you mentioned using your life savings. So if you did do a business loan, what was that process like?
So we've never taken a business loan out on anything. And we tried at one point to get a small loan, and we were denied. And I think the reason for that is I don't think that there's many banks out there that'll give you a business loan when you ain't been in business. You know what I mean? Or when you haven't been for at least a year, is what they tell you.
Which is crazy, because how do people start a business then?
It is crazy. Yeah, private investors, owners carrying notes and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can do it, really, unless you got a bunch of money saved up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough, man. But it was kind of a blessing that we didn't get that loan. I think in the long run.
Yeah.
I think it was one of them deals where we were more worried than we should have been,
Mm-hmm.
and it all worked out. So
that's awesome.
I mean, in a business loan, the interest rates are crazy anyways. Anything that's commercial, I'm sure you guys know, is let's just mark it up a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that the business has got all the money, I think, but
I wish.
not the case.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So I guess I was going to say, when you get sick of your new, is your new thing food? It's a food truck, right?
It is food.
Okay. So that's what you do when you get sick of barbecue. You just open up a new, food truck.
This one's going to be interesting, man. Nobody else is doing it down here, so it's another thing that nobody else is doing that I know of anyways. I ain't seen it anywhere, so.
And you know what's cool is because you have such a following with this, people will immediately be like, "Oh, can't wait to try it." Yeah, you know, that's what's cool about this community is the support that everybody gives you. Yeah,
you couldn't ask for better.
People here, I feel like they go out of their way to support a local business or restaurant than, you know, something that's not local, chain.
Yeah,
I feel like, I say that, and then I'll drive by Jack in the Box at midnight, and there's a line of 20 people.
Right. I think there's different types. I mean, but as far as just like a new venture, you'll have tons of support.
Yeah. And we did, and we always have, you know, and you have your negatives here and there, your negative people. But when you get one negative to every 100 positives, you know, it makes it pretty easy. I mean, I mean, like Debbie Chapman over here at the clinic, you know, she was real good in helping us getting going, you know, just talking us through a few things. And it's like she said, you'll never please everybody. No matter how hard you try to please everybody around here, you never will. There's always going to be somebody to complain, even if there wasn't a problem. And that's the truth, you know. But for the most part, this community, I mean, the support they've given us, I mean, they're the real ones who make it happen, you know.
I think, too, that's kind of a quick way to fail is if you try to make a business that pleases everybody. It just doesn't exist. And if you try, you're going to fail. You
got to have tough skin.
Right.
Yeah. When you mentioned your boss kind of made a comment, it was a little negative about when you were giving your notice. Did you have a lot of people close to you kind of maybe trying to talk you out of it?
Yeah, I mean, and in my boss's defense, a great guy, he wasn't, I think he was really nervous because of the work I did for him, you know. It freed him up a lot, and he knew that it was going to be tough, you know, because I was the superintendent. I was running everything up there in Morenci, and all of a sudden I'm leaving, you know, and a guy can get comfortable. I know that my little brother, he's the manager for us at the restaurant now. And if he come and put in his notice, I would try and talk him out of it. I'd freak out.
Yeah, you got to expect that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as anybody else, I mean, I'm one of them guys who you're not going to shake what I'm thinking, you know, so nobody really come to me telling me that's a bad idea, don't do it, you know. And people know that I'm a go-getter, so if anything, it was more support than anything, you know. I'm happy for you. Go get it, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember back before I started doing mortgages, I was working for the town of Thatcher, which was a really good job. And at the time, there was limited position. It was rare for that position to become available because most people, once they got it, they were there for a while. I mean, a lot of the guys I was working with have been there for 15 years or more, you know. And so I had been working there for, I don't know, I think maybe 3 years or so, and then started talking about doing loans. And I mean, I had people close to me, they're like, don't quit your job at the town. Like, you know, you'll regret quitting the job at the town. They had great insurance, they had all that. And I did loans at the same time. I was working for the town for about 6 months, or no, actually longer than that, about 9 months. And then finally I got to the point where I was like, I got to go full in. You know, I'm gonna quit the comfort job and go full into being on a commission and, you know, this new venture that I didn't really know anything about, and I never looked back, and it was the right choice. I mean, it's just something that you've got to have that in you to be able to take that risk.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's all working out for you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, hopefully it continues to, and glad it's working out for you as well.
Thank you. Did you know that me and Chase are related?
Well, I put it together when you said.
So my mom and your grandma are sisters.
Yep.
Well, I'm related to Austin, sort of.
Oh, are you?
Oh, really?
Ronnie is her mom is my first cousin.
Oh, okay.
So she's my first cousin once removed.
You guys
Austin
got a lot
married
of
into
family down here then.
Tons of
right?
family.
You're related to everybody.
Yeah.
You're probably related to us too.
I'm sure we are, yeah. No, I was going to say, one of our first guests was Weston Wiltbank, and he said something that I had never heard before. Apparently it's a common saying, but I'd never heard it, but I haven't forgotten. He said, fortune favors the bold, and that is like, ever since then, it's like every guest we've had that has, you know, either started a business or gone out on some sort of venture, that's what I think about. It's like you're successful because you've made your own success because you've taken those risks and you've obviously calculated those risks and it's worked out for you. So,
Yeah.
but I really like that when he said that, and I haven't forgot it. It's good.
Yeah, no, that is good.
Yeah. Well, this is perfect timing, man, because we're so this episode will be posted next Tuesday. So we'll talk about to look for you at the or at the Spring Festival next weekend.
That'd be great, man.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you want to plug, or you know, anything, any new products or anything at the restaurant that people might not have heard about yet?
Maybe. So every Monday now we offer a Mine Worker Monday special. So every Monday is 10% off for all mine workers. That might make the bank worker mad, but
no, I get it.
We're working on a banker special.
All right.
Yeah, the Mine Worker Monday, 10% off every Monday. That's slowly.
You just want to work hard after a long weekend, or what?
And no, we just want Mondays to pick up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Monday and Tuesday is the slowest day of the week. I'm sure you guys know.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, I mean, our specials, whenever we come up with a special we want to run for a weekend, I mean, barbecue's different than running our kitchen and everything's different than an actual restaurant. You know, we don't have your fryers and stuff and grills. So when we run a special, it's something we decide to do, you know, 3 or 4 days before we do it for a weekend, and we can't do it for longer than a weekend, you know.
Yeah.
So those, we, all of our specials, we send them over to the chamber. The chamber puts them on the, do you know what those screens are called all over town?
The Valley Vision screens.
The Valley Vision, yeah. So it goes across
Shout
Valley
out
Vision.
Double R
so
Communications, yeah.
yeah, for sure. And be looking out for those, I guess.
So you usually run those specials on the weekends. So that's when
Yeah,
you kind of keep an eye out.
our specials, I mean, it seems like they only do good, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we typically try and run them.
Cool. And then what's your, because you guys advertise on Facebook and Instagram, or are you on Instagram or just Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
What's your Instagram handles? Just so people can go find it.
You know, I never even got on Instagram. Peeler takes care of that, but I think
So
it's
just
Rafter G
probably
Barbecue.
just search Rafter G Barbecue and they'll find it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. I don't even know how to get on Instagram, man.
You're doing a great job, Peeler. Yeah. Chase doesn't have to worry about it. Right on.
Cool. Well, this has been awesome, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
doing this, and
Thank you guys for having us, man. Or
glad
me
we could
anyway.
finally make it happen.
Next time we'll have Peeler come too. So
Yeah, for sure, man. The food trailer is going to be called Rapid Rafters, so maybe we can come back and check.
Is that
it
some
out.
sort of
Absolutely.
hint?
Yeah, Rapid Rafters. Okay, I like it. Yeah, look for that at the Spring Festival happening this weekend.
Next weekend.
Yeah. Happening the 26th of April, I think.
That's right, you're right.
So cool, man. We'll see you out there. We'll have a booth out there too. So.
Right on.
Cool. Thanks.
No, thank you guys.
Like Gucci.